Joining me now is Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi of Illinois. He's a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, welcome. I want to jump right into these strikes on the drug boats. They were on very flimsy legal footing to begin with, but now you have this approved covert CIA action in Venezuela and the potential for strikes inside the country. I'm going to ask the question people at home are obviously wondering. Are we effectively beginning or at war with cartels in Venezuela right now?
I hope not. I think that this is one of those situations that could escalate and become very dangerous very fast. Obviously, under the War Powers Resolution, only Congress can authorize the use of military force. And I'm concerned about what's happening right now being a violation of the War Powers Resolution and War Powers Act. And I will be asking for a lot of answers to a lot of questions when we return to Washington as well.
Wait, so your committee hasn't been briefed on any of this yet?
No, and I believe that this is one of those issues where, unfortunately, the intelligence community has been directed by the president not to fully brief Congress in the ways that it should be. And what we know is that the laws were designed for this type of oversight to happen. When it doesn't happen, bad things happen. Secret wars happen. The American people basically, in their name, are committing acts of violence elsewhere in a way that could end up in an escalating tragedy.
There is a great irony here in the idea that your committee has not been briefed. Yet there has been the announcement of a covert operation, which is antithetical to a covert operation, as far as I can understand. Any idea or rhyme or reason as to why the president has taken this course, publicly announcing that aspect and then not providing details based on what your committee would want to know?
I don't know. And I think that this is kind of a pattern of behavior by the president that's deeply disturbing, certainly in Latin America. Again, I fear that we are kind of working our way into a war in Latin America. And again, the American people, only the American people can decide this. Now, if there are any clear and present dangers that the president needs to protect against, he should be able to act. Yeah. However, then he needs to be able to explain to us why he was required to act, and that hasn't happened. So now we're having an escalation occurring before our very eyes, and it could lead to real tragedy going forward.
You know, the president was asked about the potential of taking out leader Nicolas Maduro. Listen to what he said.
Does the CIA have authority to take out Maduro?
Oh, I don't want to answer a question like that. That's a ridiculous question for me to be given. Not really a ridiculous question, but wouldn't it be a ridiculous question for me to answer? But I think Venezuela is feeling heat.
I mean, if part of the goal is regime change and removing Maduro, do you think any of the president's tactics will actually lead to that, given that he didn't answer that question? But could it lead to that regime change?
I don't know. I think that the question is, really, what is the president trying to do down there? What does he authorize? What's the next steps? We haven't received that information. And without that information, it's really hard to tell what the cascade of events is going to be. Now, is Nicolas Maduro a good guy? No, he's not a good guy. He stole the presidential election that happened last year. But the American people, in my humble estimation, don't want us to go to war. They don't want us to go into yet another war in yet another part of the planet. And at this point, the president is taking steps which could kind of cause a spiral, which could be uncontrolled.
The war powers become even more significant in the questions that you will ask, Congressman. I want to turn to ICE and about ICE's presence in your district. You've obviously likely seen this video that circulated earlier in the week It was a young woman being detained after she was reportedly warning people in a neighborhood about the presence of ICE. And her parents, they confirmed the story to CBS News, but DHS claims it was actually video of a burglary arrest by police from last year. What's the real story?
That is complete, utter nonsense that that DHS and this assistant secretary have put out. This happened in my congressional district in Hoffman Estates at a residential neighborhood intersection where, as you can tell, this woman, she happens to be 18 years old, a U.S. citizen, was pulled out of the passenger seat, thrown to the ground, and the man with ICE put his knee on her neck. She was then taken away and detained for hours. Her family was distraught. They had no idea where she was. She was finally, thank God she was allowed to go free. But in that, time when she was, her whereabouts were unknown, they feared for her life. And that should not be happening in the United States of America. Donald Trump declared himself the chairman of the Board of Peace in the Middle East recently as part of his 20-point plan. And by the way, I commend him for what he's done in the Gaza Strip. But quite frankly, Mr. President, you're bringing mayhem to Illinois and to Chicago and to even my congressional district, and you need to make it stop. This is something that has to stop right now.
What do you say in response to the fact that he thinks that mayhem is there and that's the reason he's acting?
There's no mayhem in Hoffman Estates. There's no mayhem in many parts of the Chicago area where ICE is now disrupting life. They are separating families. They're taking 18-year-old women away from their families. They are snatching people out of schools, churches, hospitals, places of worship. This is wrong. It's illegal. And they are also detaining them in ways that are contrary to the law and not subject to oversight. They are subject to oversight, and they're not allowing us to conduct oversight. So all of this is completely unacceptable, and we have to speak up, speak out, and speak up against what's happening.
And this includes action towards U.S. citizens as well. Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Still ahead.